Stone Stage here. Hope you're having a good day. Peace. Come sit down in my kitchen. Let's do it long and I'll talk to you about the 70s or some topic that's wild and maybe sometimes even insane. I remember the first time I drove out west in the 70s. It was a fun time. I had my business, making tons of money, and me and one of my partners decided we're going to take a drive around the country for like a month. So he had a van, brand new Dodge 76, I guess. Nice van. And he fixed it up a little bit. And he got at that time, before GPS, he was able to get through his parents these AAA trip ticks. It's this little packet pamphlet of the trip, gave you the road you wanted to go, direction, and everything. So we left one morning and we drove like first 18 hours to Yankton, South Dakota, and of course had plenty of pot. Had I didn't bring a bong on this trip, but I had a pipe. No, I brought a little Sarah, this little small bong, a little 6-inch bong, and papers, of course. And so we drove, and always drives. The other ones were on joints, and through the ride we picked up hitchhikers, and we got to where was it? South Dakota. We went to Deadwood. Went to drove right through Deadwood City, and then went to Custer's Last Stand, and then we ventured up. Right now, this is taking a few days in between to drive and explore. We went down a bunch of dirt roads, a bunch of very remote areas we'd camp. That all that was there was a water pump and an outhouse, and that was it. There was nothing, no other accommodations there. And we made it all the way to we went up to Crater Lake, went through there, and that was really neat. That's like 10,000 some feet, very high, really nice up there. And made it all the way to the west coast to was it Eureka, California? Is where we finally ended up stopped going west. All right, part two of the trip out west. Again, this is Stone Sage talking to you today. Hope you're having a good day. Sit down in my kitchen, have a seat. Let's do a bong, which I'll do right now. All right, so my friend and I, we made it to Eureka, California early in the morning, and we were in Oregon. Actually, we made it to the Rogue River Camps Valley and the campsite. Stayed there for the night, and got bum one right out of the Rogue River. Cold. So the next morning we got up early, and then we had to drive through to California. And they had to take a vehicle, at least at this point in California, in time for any vegetables or anything that they didn't want agriculturally. So they went through the van and they checked the cooler, and they said we were fine. We went through and we're driving down the road, and I'm driving. I'm going to the Dean. There's some girl hitchhiking, and he goes, "What? What?" I go, "Yeah, man." So he says, "Yeah, let's go ahead and pull over, give her a ride." So I pull over, and she gets in, and this is a rough girl. She's wearing overalls with a shirt. She's got a beer. She's got one of her teeth is cracked. I mean, she's friendly, nice. He said, "Give me a ride up to here, up to this mountain." And then goes, "Okay." So we start going down the road, and she's drinking her beer, and she asked if we had any beer. We go, "Yeah, we had some more beer." So I said, "Cool." So she says, "Okay, take a left up here." So we take a left, and for a little bit there's road, there's asphalt, and then it goes into gravel. And then it just goes into what was left of gravel and dirt. And this was it 50, 70 years ago, had been logged out, and everything had grown back up over, and it was an old logging mountain. So apparently there was some commune that owned the mountain. It was like 88-acre mountain or something like that. And she said, "If you could take me up to the top, it's really cool." So we start driving, and again, there's like a gorge in the middle, and there's like room for the tires on the side. And we were driving. It took about a half hour to get up the mountain. And we pulled over and stopped, and on the drive up, we saw a pickup truck with a tree growing through it. which is pretty interesting. And we saw a couple other vehicles that were kind of died, I guess, where they made it up to. So we finally get up to the top, and hold on, I guess I'm getting right to the good part. And we end up, we get out, and she says, "Come on, follow me." And we get out of the van, and I grab the beer and some papers and weed and head out. And we go out to these trees, and here's this clearing, and here's this chick sitting on like a sheet type thing. And she's got these two dogs, and she's smoking a joint, sitting there buck naked. And Dean and I walk up and say, "Hey," he said, "Do you want to smoke?" And go, "Yeah, yeah." We sit down and share the joint, and I roll a joint, and we're all sitting there just chilling, having a good groovy day. And I was thinking, why we're being groovy. And she said, "Let's go back to the cabin." And she gets up and pulls this little sarong thing around her waist, and we head on back to to some trees and to this cabin. And it's pretty rough. I mean, there was spider webs, but people lived here, other hippies, and actually they're all away at that weekend. And one girl, the second girl that we met at the lake, the clearing there, she said that's why she was up there. Everybody else went away. So that was kind of cool. So we go in there, we have some beer, we're smoking, having a good old time, and the girl that we originally picked up asked if we had any food, and we go, yeah. So went out and got some food, and she starts cooking, and I said, well, we gotta head out. We're heading down to San Diego, so we hung out another half hour or so, and headed on out. And the one girl said, well, if you could give me a ride back, and we go, yeah, sure. She said, but there's a different way to go than the way you came in. So hop in the van, and much better ride. We're going through these massive Douglas firs in the woods. Oh, incredible. For those who we're just driving through this woods. I mean, dense forest, beautiful. Smoking a joint just to join this peaceful drive is absolutely beautiful. Would you have ever been able to do something like that? Really cool being able to do that. Well, again, if you like, hit notifications, subscribe, like, share, comments. Have a good day and peace. Hey, Stone Sage here. Hope you have a good day. Peace out. Sit in my kitchen, have a seat. I'll tell you about my wild times in the 70s. This is actually in the 80s. This will probably be a couple little brief chats. Second time I went from Washington to San Diego was in August of 1980, beginning of the month, and me and a girlfriend decided to go. Needed some changes. So she had a Dodge van, and we loaded up the van and decided to drive out west. So, we did the normal thing, drive. Stayed at a bunch of nice campgrounds. We had a small little pup tent, but I had all the camping gear. And again, of course, since we thought we were actually moving out there, I brought my Toastmaster, and we had bongs, tons of pot. And so we headed out and get to Ohio someday, and then we got out to Yellowstone area, and that's just beautiful out there. We spent 2 or 3 weeks driving through Yellowstone through rural campsites, and again, where all you have is an outhouse and a water pump, and that was it. There was you had designated areas, but there were no other niceties. So it was very rural, but very nice because at the time of year we were there, nobody was ever in any of the campsites we stayed, like 2 weeks in Bear Butte, South Dakota State Park, and that was just beautiful there. Met all kinds of nice people. And then again, we headed further into Yellowstone, and got to see Old Faithful. And again, you go on these primitive campgrounds, and I mean, take 45 minutes to get there, and there's nobody. There's nobody at all around, and it's just like you're in the middle of nature. Really beautiful. That's why we spent so much time there. And then once we left the Yellowstone, we headed down south through Wyoming and to Tetons, to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and we spent a couple weeks there. And Tammy was looking for a job, but because the season hadn't started yet, they weren't hiring anybody. They said no in about a month, but didn't really have the money at this time in my life. Didn't have the money to do that. So all right. So then we headed on further to all the way across to was it Northern California, the top corner of Northern California. I'm going to stop there. I hope you're enjoying this little talk. Hit notifications, subscribe, like, share. Any comments? Peace, and have a good day. All right, part three of my adventure to San Diego in the 80s. So we got to this apartment in San Diego. It's a studio apartment, so it's like one big room and a kitchen and a bathroom, and that was it. And it was Jim and his girlfriend. And I mean, but you walk out the door and 10 yards there's the road, and then there was a little sidewalk area, and then there was the Pacific Ocean. Couldn't have had a better place in San Diego. That's got to be one of the most beautiful places, cities I've ever been, especially that seaside area, because the temperature's different, a whole different vibe. Really nice. And hold on. So we stayed with just this couple for a while, and it was just crowded. So this guy was working on a boat. He was a carpenter, and somehow he got hooked up working on this attorney's boat that this attorney wanted a case or something, and the attorney wanted to turn this towboat into like a pleasure cruiser, and this guy said he could do it. Well, he couldn't do it. He was all getting hooked up on meth. So what he'd do, he'd go out at night and steal the shit, and then he'd make up a receipt, give it to the guy, and he'd put it on this guy's boat. And he outfitted most of the boat like that, going to different marinas and stealing the shit. And I remember he was trying to put some kind of a trim around the edge of it. I'd been a carpenter, I mean, I knew a good idea what you could do with wood. And he said he was going to weight this piece of trim down to bend it. And I said, well, no, you got to use heat. He said, no, this will work. So he had this piece of trim tied with a weight in the middle, hanging in the ocean for a couple of days. Then he pulled it out and it didn't bend. And in the meantime, he put the other piece over on the edge. So he's got this board going along the flat side of the boat. And when the bow turns in, the stick kept going. The piece of wood kept going. And that was one side. He had the other side sticking in the water. And Tammy and I were staying on this boat. It wasn't really anything luxurious at all. It was a towboat. So there was no, you had like cabin bench seats in the back and under the steering thing, and that was about it. So we stayed on that, and you had to go out the boat and go up to the off the down the marina thing to use the bathroom. So we stayed there for a while, and it just wasn't working. So, well, this is coming to the conclusion of this story. So, if you like this, hit notification, subscribe, like, share, comments at the end. Peace out. All right, this is part three, or the continuation of my second trip out to San Diego. And back now, I'm getting ready to head back to Washington. Things weren't really good in San Diego. There was no work, and the drugs there was just too many drugs around, hard drugs. Now, there was good weed, and that's where I got some of the best weed I'd ever smoked, skunk weed. And, but the trip, so I decided, I'm going to head on back to Virginia. And so I called a friend and I said, hey, could you loan me enough money to get back to Virginia? And she wired the money and bought my ticket to leave California to go back to D.C. And so we see I left San Diego early in the morning, and I got on a bus to go from San Diego to L.A. That's where I took the bus from L.A. to LAX and to catch the plane. Now I've got box chill case. I got a bunch of shit with me, and get on the bus, and it's a few hour ride. Get up there and then get off the bus and going through LA. It's like, okay, it's a big city. It looks pretty rough in this area. So I get to LAX, and the bus lets me off, and I get another bus to the terminal, and I get there, and then I get ready to check in, and this guy says, "Okay, well, you can carry that on, but you got to pay for these." And I said, "Well, I don't have any money right with me right now." And I said, "I'm broke, man." And I guess being a hippie, he was sympathetic. And he kind of looked, side to side and said, "All right, all right, all right. Here, let me tag it for you, man. It's on. You're good. Don't worry about it." I said, "All right, thank you." Now, when I bought the ticket, uh, they asked, I made it as cheap as possible. And when I'm ordering it, and they said, "Well, anything I could do to make it less, so you can take the meal off." I said, "I'll do that." And it costed like $147 with tax to fly from LA to Baltimore, Washington then. So I got up to LAX, got on the plane, got all my stuff, and flew back. And I had like 2 cigarettes left. And you're allowed to smoke on planes then. So I had one on the ride back. And I was faster because you're going with the wind. And landed in D.C. the next morning. And I had a friend pick me up from Virginia. And made it back. And that was a little wild little trip. Alrighty. Hit notifications, like, subscribe, share. Have a good day. Peace out.